Hello, everybody. We're back again. Sunny Side Sports Take, and this is our 45th episode. And before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, and I want to move to if you can see it right there, Phil, chime in.
Well, he's talking about A-Rocket Moving and Storage, of course, the sponsor of this show. We just like to be a part of what we're doing here. We're a full service moving company, been in business since 1959. DeAndre Sam is the second generation owner, and we do commercial, local, residential moves, and we store your items. We have climate control. We have a 62,000 square foot storage space that was just opened up in October of 24. So we'd love to have you come by, take a look at it, and give us a call, 713-748-6024. We're at 3401 Quarter. You can ask for me, Philip Green, or DeAndre Sam. Let them know you heard it here on Sunny Side Sports Take with Jeff Walker. Yes. Might give you a discount if you do that.
Thank you very much. Shout out. And guys, I want to start by, I saw something on TV that Lionel Messi, one of the greatest soccer players, I happen to believe Pele is the greatest, but soccer is starting to, they almost sold out the stadium in Atlanta. So soccer is starting to get big publicity, and they're trying to make it as big as it is in Europe and South America. And so what do you say about the push for soccer in the States? What you say about that, Brother Hicks?
I like it. It's one of the few international games that exists. I think if you go cross-border anywhere and you want to watch a sport, play a sport, your options really are basketball or soccer for most of the world. And I'm excited too, because I think now as we develop the game of football and other contact sports, it's becoming more and more difficult to get really young kids to engage in that, particularly at any sort of advanced level, which unfortunately can have the result of kids moving away from sports in general. And so I think things like soccer, especially, but basketball, baseball, but especially as we get soccer moving and we can get more young kids into it, I think that's good for just society in general to have more kids involved in sports. And soccer seems a little bit safer than some other sports out there for some people who may be concerned about that. And as we develop soccer, the competition gets better, gets stronger, and the more people we have watching sports can make all the rest of the sports grow as well. That's one of the things the Europeans did so well, is they are fans of soccer from a young age because they have all these club teams that are involved really early on that it's hard for us as Americans to understand. But, for the longest time in the UK, if there's a big team, let's say Manchester United, there are 5-year-olds right now on the Manchester United Academy team, 7 and under. And they grow that talent pool from the time they're little kids. Imagine if we had a 7 and under Houston Texans team that played the Cowboys and played the Saints and their 7 and under team. We're not far from that with American football, but we're pretty far away from that with U.S. soccer. And so as we get more people invested in it, I think it's only a good thing. I think bringing over Messi and David Beckham when he came over and getting more talent helps a lot. So I'm really happy to see it.
Sounds good. We're trying to make it marketable here in the United States. What do you think the chances of that are? I know we have a national league. I guess the Dynamos are a part of that. What do you think the chances of that are?
I think they're really good. I think the biggest challenge for U.S. soccer is it was kind of caught in a gray area in between the cracks, because if you didn't really know much about soccer, you weren't going to watch it. And if you were a really big fan, then you probably wanted to watch it at a higher level in a different league. And I think that was the toughest part, is if you love watching expert soccer, you were going to go watch the European League, the UEFA League, or the Premier League, and you weren't necessarily going to watch U.S. soccer. Meanwhile, if you've never seen it before, you were probably not going to go to a game either. And so I think getting more communities involved, if you go to a Houston Dynamo game now, I mean, there's people that go to every single game. They absolutely love it. It's kind of a big party. Same thing with Austin FC. You go to Austin FC game, and there are people there playing instruments. They got drums. There's flags. It's a great experience. And I think that I think the expectations now are pretty accurate to what they want it to be. For example, Austin FC has a stadium that holds 17,000 people or something, and I think that's really good. I don't think you should be building, at least in the United States right now, 100,000 seat stadium for soccer. We have those if they ever need it. Like for the World Cup, there will probably be some stadiums that use it. But I think that is a good target for U.S. soccer to hit. And I think the odds of them hitting that target are really good.
Okay. I just saw a team that won the championship recently, the Florida Panthers. If we know Florida, that's more of a warm region, and they have went out there and won the championship. Here in Houston, I mean, we should have just as much opportunity as for hockey as Florida does. I don't know what happened there, but that seems like they won their second championship.
Back to back.
What do we know about what's going on in the hockey league? And they are trying to get it just as high as basketball. I'm not sure that'll ever happen. But what do we say about what's going on with the hockey league? Jeff, what you got to say about that? You ever watched the hockey game?
About hockey or about hockey or the previous time? Hockey? About hockey? Can you hear me?
Yes, Jeff. Hockey.
About hockey. No, I'm sorry, my brother. I'm not really into hockey, so go ahead to the next guy on that one.
I understand. I used to work at the Aero games, and they had a very big, audience for a time there. And, Gordie Howe played for a while, his sons, and it seemed to be a great community effort, but that fell off. You have any idea why hockey never made it in Houston, Mr. Hicks?
Yeah, I mean, I have an idea, and part of it is the community wasn't as familiar with it at the time. When the Houston Aeros were here, I think they were already folded before Facebook existed.
Oh, wait,
yeah. It was just a different type of environment for pro sports.
The whole league.
Yeah. The whole AHL was in trouble.
Yeah.
And social
World
media,
Hockey League is what they called it.
Yeah, and social media didn't exist. And ways to stream on your phone and to see new content wasn't really available. And so there wasn't a targeted effort to promote that league nationwide. And that caused a lot of problems. And we had also just had a new football franchise startup in the Houston Texans at the time, and there was a lot of investment going there. The Astros were changing stadiums. It was a whole different environment, particularly for Houston pro sports.
And the USFL jumped off around that time too.
Yeah, true. And it was a different time. And so now I think with the Florida Panthers, if you go watch their games, same thing with the Dallas Stars, it's a production. I mean, you go to the games now, like at the Florida Panthers game, if you look at the ringside seats, it's like the same people that sit courtside at basketball games. You have your local NFL stars, your musicians, you're all these people that are sitting ringside. Because it's more entertaining when you're able to get a little more exposure to it. And they've also really started to care more about the production value of the games themselves. So the Dallas Stars with the lights and the music they have, the way they pipe in sound from the ring to the outer chairs and seats, they do a really good job. Panthers do as well. And I think it helps really translate the game to a community that's not intimately familiar with it. In the Northeast in New England, you have all these kids who everyone's been ice skating there. And a lot of kids have tried hockey or played it or have friends that have and went to their high school games. There's not a big high school hockey scene in Texas. Same thing as in Florida for the most part. But I think with the right type of promotion, I think it can be a popular thing in Houston again. I mean, our sports community has done so well with the Dynamo. Obviously, the Astros and Texans are still looking very strong in terms of attendance. And then, the city even responds really well to things that the city kind of owns, like the rodeo. And so I think if you make it a central, Houston centric brand and communicate that to the city, I think you would have a lot of people that would show up.
Let me ask this. You mentioned about baseball. Baseball is still, out of the three major sports, still has it has so many games. That's why it still is profitable, but it still is the least out of football and basketball in that context. Do you think they're going to have to go to more entertainment type of scenarios to bring in fans, or you think the game is solid and will find a way to pull in?
About hockey?
No, I'm talking about baseball.
Oh,
Baseball.
Baseball, yeah, I don't know. I mean, with the Houston Astros in particular, they've been extraordinarily creative in how they create revenue. So, they have the seats and the hot dogs, but now they also have their major sponsors like Occidental Drilling Company. Oxy even has a patch on the arm now, and that costs Oxy a lot of money, right? And so they've been getting revenue in different ways, and so the way that teams get revenue isn't necessarily about the amount of seats and hot dogs they sell. They're being pretty creative in other ways. I think the Astros have done a pretty good job of that.
Let me interject this though.
Yeah.
Do you think the game is still solid like it was maybe 40 years ago, that you have young guys coming in and looking forward to playing baseball? I know in the African American community, we don't go into baseball as much as we used to. But do you think it's solid as far as its farm system, its college system, into feeding into the baseball genre?
That's a really heavy question for the simple fact that the path to the Major League Baseball is being impacted by a variety of things now. In college, you have the new NIL system with the House settlement last month that just happened, or really June 9th, it was actually handed down. They announced that it was going to come down last month. And I'm still, as an attorney, I'm still reading over that opinion, that settlement. So that's going to make things more complicated. And then, unfortunately, we also have a situation where international players are at risk of potentially not being able to come to the United States and bring their talent. And who knows what happens there as well. But whenever you come to the United States to play a game, the type of visas you're allowed to have is either on a student visa to play in college, or what's called a P1 visa. But to have a P1 visa, you have to already be an established talent. So you're kind of in a catch-22. And so with the farm system, I don't know. I think AA ball is still pretty strong. I think you have teams like the Corpus Christi Hooks and the Frisco Rough Riders who are still selling a good amount of seats, and people care about those teams. And they play pretty good baseball from what I'm told. I've only seen a few of those games. But the farm system, I think you're right. I think the farm system is in some real trouble. That being said, Philip and I went to a lunch with Jeff Bagwell the other day, who's the hitting consultant for the Astros. And he said they have some 19 and 20-year-olds who are looking really strong, who really care, who show up every day and show up early and stay late to get their game in shape. So I don't think it's the attitude of the individual player that may impact the quality of the game, but I think it is the regulatory framework around it that can cause problems. So I don't know the answer to the question, but I hope that it goes well.
You gave us some good background, and thank you very much. It's so much happening in sports, and we try to talk about all of it here on Sportstake. We just had the Roland Garros tournament. Coco Gauff did a very good job. She did that. She's starting to come into, I guess, it's hard to say, the Serena era. She's doing a very good job. And tennis across the board still gets highlights, as golf does. We do not have another Tiger Woods, and that would be a good thing, but golf is still getting high attention. Also with is it LIV, the Saudi Arabia golf tournament? That has brought in a whole lot of competition as well as money across the board. So Sports is healthy across the board. And of course, the number one event going on right now is the NBA tournament. Jeff, are you surprised?
Not at all. Not at all. I thought OKC would have won it in 6. But hey, we are now here at Game 7. Is anybody's series? And basically what it comes down to, if this game was being played in a neutral court, I would go with the Pacers to win this. But since this game is being played in OKC, I think OKC is going to win it, and I think they'll probably win it by at least 12. I think Jaylon Williams, and I think SGA will go off. I think those two guys will probably combine for about 70 points between the two.
Is that what you predicted? OKC would win in 7.
Yes. Yeah. I said
what
6
did you predict?
I said 6.
6.
Yeah.
I said OKC in 7.
Yeah.
Brother Hicks, what you think?
Oh man, NBA is anybody's guess for me. I don't know. I'm gonna look. Given the amount of pictures on Jeff's wall, I'm gonna agree with Jeff.
I know that's right.
Talking about.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Smart man.
I'm gonna take OKC by 12.
Well, here's what I think really can happen. If OKC plays their very best game and Indiana plays their very best game, I still believe that OKC will win. But if both play their best game and OKC lets up just a little bit, Indiana will get them.
It's possible. They have proven that.
They prove they can win there. They prove they can win there. But I'm just saying, but if they both play their very best game, Oklahoma's a slightly better team, in my opinion. But the hot team is a team, like Jeff said, if they played at a neutral site, it'd be a whole nother animal. But since they're in OKC, I don't see any reason OKC should lose. But here's the but. I'm connecting two different things here. If by chance they let up just a little bit and Indiana does play a good game, their game, they'll win.
They're certainly capable. Let's say Tyrese Halliburton goes off, hits about 7 3-pointers, and then TJ McConnell steals about three balls, and it seems like that trend is going on. It's possible.
Scoring turnovers.
In my opinion, I think the key guy in Game 7 is the smallest guy on the court, TJ McConnell. If that guy plays the way he played the last game, and he puts it on the floor like the way on the court, leading on the court like he did, I think they got a chance. I love the way he plays. And when I watch him play, I think about Reed Shepherd because they're the same size. So I'm like, if Reed can be like TJ McConnell, I would love
it. Big if, Jeff. It's a big if.
He hasn't earned that type of comparison.
He's a better shooter, but he doesn't play the deep. He's not as gritty as TJ. But here's another thing, too. They're a road game. Usually at home, bench players play better. So he's on the road. If he can do that, that would be their one hope of winning. That would help.
Right.
It's going to be.
I think he's going to have a big Game 7. I really think TJ going to have a big game because he's older. You got to understand he's much older. He's like, 30, 31, 32. So I think he's going to have a big Game 7. But I don't know if it's going to be enough. I don't think it's going to be enough.
Another big thing going on is the NBA draft, which is happening on the 25th. We already know Cooper Flagg is going to be the first pick. If not, that would be another stupid thing that Dallas does. But Jeff, who you think going to be number 2?
Oh, wow. I got to go with the guy, Dylan Harper. I'm going with Dylan Harper, the point guard out of Rutgers. That's what I'm going with. But I'm hearing it could be Ace Bailey. But what I'm also hearing is Ace Bailey is kind of trying to position himself to go to a team instead of going ahead and doing the right thing and going ahead and working out for the teams that are asking him to come in and work out for. He's trying to direct himself to the team he want to go to.
So he's being a prima donna.
Exactly. But I think Dylan Harper, I think Dylan Harper is the second best player in my opinion.
Anybody else got a comment on who might be upcoming in the draft? Phil?
Well, Harper, like you said, he has good bloodline. That's Ron Harper's son. So, and then a guy on his team is right behind him. Bailey, they're on the same team. They're from Rutgers, So you can flip a coin on that, but that stuff is subjective. What if somebody gets hungry and greedy and wants to trade a bunch of assets and some good players, and all of a sudden it flips the draft? It happens.
And speaking of trades, a lot of people say we should trade. When I say we, I'm talking about the Houston Rockets. They should trade for Kevin Durant. I say that's the worst thing in the world. He's 36, and I don't believe he's really a winner. That's my opinion. I would not trade for him. Now, Giannis is a different story.
Yeah.
I would not trade for Kevin Durant. Jeff, give your spiel.
All right. Now, I know I've been talking about Kevin Durant for about the last month and a half, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, man, you want Kevin Durant. Yes, I do. I would like to see the Rockets trade for Kevin Durant. But, hold up. But, not at all costs. I do not want to give up 2 or 3 of my key young guys and 2 or 3 first-round picks just to get Kevin Durant. So I don't want Kevin Durant at all costs. From what I'm hearing, Phoenix is asking for too much. They want a Jaylon Green. Well, actually, they don't want Jaylon Green. That's one of they trying to see if they can bring in a third or fourth team to send Jaylon Green to that team, but that team is sending assets over to Phoenix because Phoenix don't want Jalen because Phoenix already have Bradley Beal and Devin Booker,
and that's a council.
Exactly. So that's why they kept sent to a third and fourth team, but they haven't been able to come up with the right deal. So, but Phoenix wants Houston to put Jabari Smith in the trade, and Houston won't put Jabari Smith in that trade. Houston says, we're not giving you Jabari and Jalen. Say again?
What do you believe is going to happen with Durant?
I think Durant is going to end up with the Spurs, or he might go to Miami. He really wants
I think he's going to end up with the Timberwolves.
Okay, that's a good move. That's a good move.
I think it's a good move for them too. It's according to who they have to give up.
Gobert. It's going to be in that trade. Gobert.
Okay.
Rudy Gobert.
That would probably, because they can replace him with Naz Reid.
Naz Reid, exactly.
Yeah, he can play that center position. So what have you heard about other trades like Giannis? Now I heard Giannis wanted to go. He said, okay, I'm going to stick with Milwaukee. I'm going to stick there and see if I can win another championship. Have you heard that?
Okay, I've heard that, but there are a lot of things that's being put out there right now that's not necessarily true. Now, what I'm also hearing is that if you can knock them over with an outstanding Godfather type of trade, they will trade Giannis. So if Houston is willing to go all in and say trade Jalen, Jabari Smith, and maybe one more of their young players and give up a couple of first-round picks, Milwaukee will take that deal. But Houston got to give them a deal they can't refuse.
I would too. That's fleecing them.
Say what?
I would too. That's fleecing them.
Exactly. So it's going to take the right deal. And the same thing with Phoenix. They trying to get everything. And you got to understand, Durant is going to be 37 years old. You talking about 2 or 3 years left in his career. I'm not going to give up Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, and 2 first-round picks for a guy that's going to be 37.
All you got to do is hold out on Durant, and he will go cheap than you think. If you rush, you will get fleeced. You're going to get fleeced no matter what, probably for Giannis. But for Durant, all you got to do is hold off. Because he's getting out of there, one way or the other.
Yo, they're going to trade
one way or the other, I agree with that.
Because what I'm hearing, they had many fights in that locker room, in that Phoenix locker room this past season. They gotta move Durant or somebody. There's no way they can bring that same team back.
From what you're hearing, who were the main culprits of the fights?
Now that I didn't get the names, all the names on who I just heard there were a lot of fights in that locker room. They got to move Durant. And
well, if I'm the owner, somebody better be fighting. If you're losing like that, somebody better be fighting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put up with that.
Well, I know they wasn't touching Devin Booker. I know that.
Well, I believe he was the main one fighting.
He might have been, but shouldn't he be? He's the leader.
Well, I don't want to see Durant go to Minnesota. I don't want him and Anthony Edwards. I don't want him on that team. If we're not gonna get him in Houston, I'd rather see him go to the Miami. I don't want him to play with Minnesota. Oh my goodness, they gonna be a headache.
I think the Rockets could still beat them. In my opinion, the Rockets got the talent. They just got to put together the maturity. Brother Hicks, all that we're talking about with the trades, the Rockets. What's your comment?
I think you hold out for Durant, see if the price lowers.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he's past his prime on a championship caliber, which is, I mean, his prime was also in the clouds. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to stay at that prime for forever. But I think he's past out. I don't think you get nearly as many minutes out of him now as you did 8 years ago.
Well, I disagree with you, Hicks. This is the one time that I disagree with you. Intelligent, I love. You see, I love it. But I don't think he's past his prime. I think he's still at the top. You know, it's a such thing as getting all the way to the top, and you get there, and then it's just a matter of coming down on the other end of the.
See, my
I don't
standpoint
think he
is
started
he
coming
was
out.
never at the
No,
top.
no.
He's not a winner. I mean, in my
He was
opinion,
at the
he
guy
only
won
was a
2
winner because he
back-to-back
got with
championships, Carl. He was the
Golden
MVP.
State, and at the right time, he fit in right there. But you know, in my opinion, he was not a winner, and you know, they're better players. You could have talent and still not be a winner. That's my
The
opinion.
guy
But you
was
know,
MVP.
you got a different opinion. Go ahead.
He was MVP back-to-back NBA Finals, back-to-back. How's he not a winner?
I mean,
You
you
gotta
could
be on
be
the right team.
the top scorer in the league and still not be the best winner. We're
I
going to
just
have
like to hear the guy
a
averaged
straight
27
conversation
last season.
about baseball here in a second. We have Brother Burrell coming in.
All right.
Okay.
Phil, take over, please.
Jaylon, you there yet? He's working on it.
Okay.
Jaylon's a baseball guy that I know his folks. He's an Alcorn Brave. He's all kind of incredible stats. I'm gonna send them to you, Jake. Might want to check out a sports agent job on this kid. He's gonna get drafted.
Phil, if you will allow, I'd like to ask him the question I was asking Brother Hicks also about, you know, the state of baseball.
There he is. Hey, Jaylon, what's going on, man?
Hey, I'm good. How you guys doing?
All right, you got the guys here from Sunny Far Side Sportstake. We got Jake Hicks here tonight, Carl Broody Alexander, and Jeff Walker and myself, man. We just want to get you on here for a few minutes. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing, how's your career going, and what you're doing tonight.
Well, right now I'm actually at one of my friend's games. He plays for the Space Cowboys in Sugar Land.
I saw him last week. The guy from Cedar, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we played ball together when we was a little younger, so I just came to show a little support. But everything's good. This year was really a breakthrough for me. Everything kind of started to click. I definitely had a long college journey. It was definitely a grind. I won't say it was easy, but I powered through it.
Well, that's good, man. And how was your SWAC season? How did you guys fare in the SWAC tournament? And did you go to the NCAAs this year?
Actually, we weren't really that good this year, but I kind of held my own. I think I kind of stood out being on a team that was really on the losing end in terms of winning this season. But overall, I had a really, really good season. I was actually impressed with myself.
Well, I tell you what, playing in the King Griffey All-Star game next month is going to say a lot about that too. Congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And just tell us a little bit about the journey, and then I'm going to let the guys take over and ask you a few questions.
Okay. Well, my journey kind of goes back to high school where I wasn't really recruited heavily.
And where'd you go to high school, Jaylon?
I went to Harmony School of Advancement. It's a charter school.
Right.
So I was a big academics guy. Like I would say I'm very intelligent as a human being. So I actually valued education a lot, and that kind of hindered my recruitment in terms of baseball. So I was getting into all the schools that I actually wanted to get into, but baseball wasn't really like looking too hot for me. And I ended up walking on at a Division II school. And due to COVID, I had to, come back and sit down for a year just to be able to help my parents financially.
Right.
And then I ended up transferring to a few schools, and I landed at Wiley College where I played my first season of collegiate baseball. And I transferred after 1 year because it didn't really feel like a fit.
Right.
And after Wiley, that's when I decided to come to Alcorn.
Great move.
Okay.
Okay.
David, what do you think? Okay, go ahead, Carl.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
Jaylon, what do you think, Jeff Walker, what do you think it's going to take for us to be able to get baseball back to where it was, to be able to get the kids more excited about baseball, say perhaps at the junior high level as well as the senior high level? What do you think it's going to take to get that to the level where it is for basketball or say for football, especially for the inner city student? What do you think?
I think it's gonna take more guys that look like us. I genuinely think when you have heroes that look like you and you actually have someone to look up to and aspire to be like that, it'll make it a little easier to market that to kids, to more urban kids, like kids like African Americans.
Well, I will
Okay.
say this. When I was coming up, we had Little League Baseball. I wasn't very good. I got hit in the head all the time, but I was there. And, we had a whole league. So that was something that was out there. We don't have that anymore. There's not the young kids playing in the little leagues anymore that I know of. Phil, do you know of any?
Well, I actually played myself. I actually coached it for like 12 years. I got kids that I had some basketball kids make it big, but I haven't had any baseball kids. But the time frame we played in and coached in, it was still a lot of good baseball going on. For me, the same guys I played against in Little League, my senior year of high school was in Pearland. They won state. So there's programs still fitted for kids to play baseball. But like Jaylon said, in the inner city, not as many. Now, Ralph Cooper sponsored a couple of leagues that we used to have over in Sunnyside. So I would drive over there. And I think I had, 10 and 12-year-olds. I think I went down to T-ball one year, and it was a lot of kids. You just have to give them a good, solid foundation that you're going to be there when they show up. You're going to teach them good fundamentals. We even took them around the city, and we played different teams. But a lot of teams came to Sunnyside. We even got the Astros to donate a little money. Roger Clemens helped us get a scoreboard and lights at Sunnyside Park. So, and we also played at Yellowstone. So, it takes a little effort and takes a good community. Cravon Rogers, I forget the other couple guys, but they started it and we were right there with them, and they made a lot of good decisions for the kids. So we had at least 20, 23 or 24 teams from T-ball all the way up to right at Pony. We stopped there because
Phil,
we didn't
how
have the
long ago
funding.
was that?
They're still doing it right now over at Sunnyside Park. We started, it's been about 15, 16 years ago, because DeAndre's son was about 8. No, it's been longer than that. It's been about, early 2000s, late, 2005. David Irvin also helped coach with us, Jake. He came all the way across town, and he never missed a practice or a game. So, he knows a lot about baseball. He and I was at a Space Cowboy game about 2 weeks ago. Like I said, Jaylon, we came to see the kid who plays for his dad, Crash McCray. He's the guy that's on the highlight. You see on ESPN, he runs through the fence, catches the ball. His son played for the Sacramento AAA team, and they were here to play. And I think I sent your dad that picture of all of us sitting together, Jaylon.
Yeah, he showed me that picture today.
Yeah. It was fun, man. I had a good time. So I told him, Jaylon, just come on tonight. We want to see you. We want to get to know you. Jake's an attorney, so you might want to get to know him too, Jaylon. He may have a question or two, because definitely you on the right track. I sent all the guys your stats. You might want to tell us a little bit your steals, your average, your team's record, all that good stuff.
Okay. So my team's record actually wasn't really that good due to the late addition of our coach during the middle of the summer. And he wasn't able to bring in the recruits that he had, so he said he was going to work with what he had. I think we only won about 6 games this year, so it wasn't really a successful season. But overall,
who was
for
the
me,
best team in the SWAC this year?
the best team in the SWAC, I think it was Bethune-Cookman.
I didn't even know Bethune-Cookman was in the
they
SWAC.
went to the tournament too. Yeah, they did. They went to the tournament. Yeah.
Okay. Brother Hicks, you got any questions for Jaylon?
Yeah, man. What's your off-season training look like right now? What are you up to?
Currently, right now, I'm working at the youth academy, just like helping develop younger kids. So that's kind of good. It's good to be around baseball a lot.
Yeah, man.
But I'm hitting every day. I'm doing a lot of running and speed and agility. I'm lifting like crazy, actually trying to gain a couple more pounds of muscle. And I'm really just trying to eat, just trying to gain weight. But the main thing for me is just to kind of stay in baseball shape.
Yeah.
What's your position? What position you play?
Primarily I'm a center fielder, but I play all 3 outfield positions.
I tried to play outfield, but I never could time catching that ball. It would almost hit me in the head, or I'd be far away from it. But that's why that was never my sport. But today, if I'm going out there, I try to play first base so I can catch the ball. I know I'm gonna catch the ball, and I force myself to catch it, and go against the fear. And I play first base, so I've made some improvements today. But of course, it took me to 60 years. But that's a whole nother.
Excuse me a second, guys. I think Clarissa Shields on the line for call. Oh yeah, call Clarissa Shields. She want to talk to you.
This is an inside joke. I do believe I can beat her.
It's an inside joke, guys.
I can
inside joke. Tell them about it.
What's that, Jeff?
You done lost your mind. Think you can be Clarissa Shields? You done lost
Yeah, that's
your
what he
mind.
said. Just a second, Jaylon. This guy thinks he can beat Clarissa Shields. We gotta give him 5 minutes of that every show.
Lost him. You couldn't even beat Amanda Nunes.
Brother Burrell, who do you have in the NBA championship?
The NBA championship, I'm more of an underdog guy, so I kind of like the Indiana Pacers to win.
Right.
We like the Indiana Pacers too, but our logic says that SGA and the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to win because they're playing at home.
Yeah, I can understand that too.
Well, speaking of sports, basketball call, I sent y'all the video of Jaylon Duncan.
Yes,
I saw that. He has hops, so he can talk.
Who do you think Kevin Durant should end up with? And would you choose him if you were the Rockets?
Yes, I would choose him if I were the Rockets. I think that's the perfect fit for him.
You're fired. I disagree.
Okay. But Jaylon, and one question: what would you give up to get him? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having him.
That's the problem.
But what would you give up to get him?
You're giving up me. I would give up draft capital, and I would probably get. I would be honest. I would give up Jalen Green. I would.
You said you would. You would give up Jalen Green. Okay, but they want one more starter. They want one more. They want Jabari Smith. Would you give up Jabari Smith with Jaylon?
I mean, you got to see if you can get something else in return, though.
That's what they wanting. They wanted Houston to add one more quality player, and Houston won't add another quality player. So that's what's holding it up right now.
Well, I think he's going to end up in Houston anyway.
Durant.
I think he's going to end up in Minnesota. You mentioned Miami. I think those are the two top choices. Now, Giannis is the one who I would take if I had an opportunity to do that. I would take that. But basketball and the trades, you're trying to guess. And like Tyrese Halliburton said, it's no more the day of the super teams. You just put together teams and that makes a championship. You kind of got to build it. Look at how Indiana and OKC have done. They've built it over time. You can't just put together a team and you have a natural championship. No, that's not how it's done anymore. So we'll have to see.
I hear what you're saying, Cole.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I hear what you're saying. I agree with you. But it still comes a time where you have to aggregate salaries, man, in order to bring in a true baller. And that's why I would like to see them do that. But again, I'm not willing to give up the farm to get him. They got to be more reasonable in their trade demand.
When you say chemistry,
and once they get to that, excuse me,
chemistry is even more important than talent.
I agree to a certain extent, but you still got to have a certain amount of talent, though. You still got to have a certain amount of talent. You'll have no chance. You're not going to win a championship without great players.
In the NBA, everybody got a certain amount of talent, but chemistry is more important, in my opinion. If you look at the history of who has made it, you go back to that Detroit team, and they beat the team with all of the superstars. I mean, and you have a lot of situations like that.
You mean the Lakers?
The chemistry and the
Lakers
playing together has been more important.
You use that point a lot, but you have to understand that was 21 years ago. That's number one. Number two, the Lakers had Karl Malone. Karl Malone was at the end of his career. That was his last year in the NBA. Gary Payton was at the end of his career. These guys were at the end of their career. It's like when the last one, when Houston got Barkley and Pippen. Those guys were at the end of their careers. So that's why they beat them. Yes, they had more chemistry in Detroit, but the Lakers were old.
I got you. Well, we could talk about basketball a lot, but when we come back, we're going to talk about who has won the championship and then what has been the results of the NBA draft. But at this time, I want to talk about the upcoming football season across the board. Brother Hicks, what do you think about the Texans' chances?
I mean, it's a tough league, but I think the coaching staff is where it needs to be. I think they're a really well coached team. I think you still have, I think there's still some issues on if the offensive line can play together. That's always a question, especially with
Did they address offensive line needs?
I think so. I mean, I think we're past the days of our superstar O lineman, the Laramie Tunsil days and things like that. I think we're beyond that, which can be good and healthy for an offensive line to do. If most of your offensive line's kind of on the same par in terms of salary and everything, that can be helpful at times. And if they can stay healthy, that's the biggest issue, I think. But hopefully they're strong offensively, because really, defensively they've always been pretty strong. That's kind of been the identity of the Texans for a long time. It's just, can they get the offense in a position where they don't have to win games 19-17? I mean, that's the biggest issue.
Last year, Stroud was on his back too much.
Yeah.
He was way on his back too much.
Yeah.
Hey Jeff, what do you say about the Texans?
Let me give you my. All right, I like what the Texans did in the offseason. No, do I think that they completely solved the offensive line issues? No, they didn't. You're not going to do that in one offseason, because it's just not. It's not feasible. You have to understand they had the 25th pick, and there was no one on the board that they felt at 25 on the offensive line that they felt can come in and be a starter for them. So they traded down, picked up a couple of extra third-round picks, and came back and got a top receiver, a guy who should have gone in the first round, Higgins. Jaden Higgins is going to be a beast. He's going to be a beast. Trust me. I've been watching him over in the training camp. That guy's going to be a beast. Within the next 3 years, he will be all-pro. That guy's a beast. I like what they got in the second round, the offensive tackle they got. 6'6", 331 pounds. I like that. Now, did they solve all the offensive line problems? No, they did not. But I think the offensive line is good enough if they can stay healthy. Now, if you get down 3 and 4 offensive linemen, so now they out for the season, and now you're getting into your second and third teamers, now, yeah, you're going to have some problems. But if they can stay healthy, I think the offensive line is good enough. And I think what they've done, picking up Higgins and picking up Jaylon Burrell, and then picking up the running back to just pick up Nick Chubb, and then to go along with Mixon. Yeah, Chubb to go along with Mixon, and then Woody Marks. Remember his name, Woody Marks, running back out of USC. They took him in the 4th round. Outstanding pickup. I really believe that the Texans, if they can keep that offensive line somewhat healthy, I think they have a chance to win 12 games, go 12-5. That's my outlook on the Texans. They got to keep that offensive line healthy, though.
I think they've been
who are the top teams going to be this year? Is it still going to be Kansas City and Philadelphia, or is somebody else going to do pretty good? And how is Shanir Sanders going to do? I've heard that he's doing great in camp. So what about that? Who's going to be the top teams, and how is Shanir Sanders going to do? Phil?
Well, I mean, you still have your regular teams. You win the Super Bowl, you're always going to be a favorite. You can lose everything. You got to have a little bit of a favoritism toward them if you're in that division. I mean, they're going to be back to be good. Kansas City, long as they have what they have, and we all know who that is, they're going to be good. So, I mean, the one thing about the NFL, you can flip a squad real quick. You get the right free agents, you get the right draft picks, and if you probably keep the same coach for a couple of years. There's some one-year coach wonders, but typically they've been left a ransom, so they can come in and kind of coordinate it. But we'll see. I'm not going to pick a particular team, but I just like good competitive football. So, we'll see. I'm looking forward to the NFL season, because injuries always make a difference who really gets where they want to go. And then how well you play, because let's face it, Philly took it to Kansas City in the Super Bowl last year. Nobody saw that. But Philly, I mean, they played their best game. That's kind of how I see the finals of this NBA finals. Philly played their best game, and Kansas City let down a little bit, and that's just enough for Philly to run smooth over.
Hey, Jeff, when is football going to start?
Football preseason start in August. Preseason football starts in August. The second week of September is when the regular season starts up. Second week of September.
Okay.
But they're already
Well,
working
we'll
out. They're
look
already over
forward
there.
to
They're over
that.
there in training camp. They're already working out. Yeah.
So what else is going on in the future of sports? As I said, we had Coco Golf winning. Phil, as I always ask you, what's going on in boxing?
Well, we're just waiting to see what happens with Canelo and Crawford. That's probably the biggest fight out there right now that people are wanting to see. Then, of course, you know, my man in the lower division, Davis, he got a rematch. That guy beat him last time, so he got away with one. We'll see how that shakes out. Those are the two fights that I think that people will tune in, will actually pay to see. Otherwise, stuff slip under the radar. We don't even know they're fighting, or even if it happens, it comes out, you know, with all the sports news you can get, we don't always know, except for the big fights, big major fights. And Crawford's won, Canelo, and then Davis and his rematch with the guy who actually beat him, much as I hate to admit that, but he did. He got the decision.
The last thing is my
They got the
favorite
draw,
sport is the track and field. We'll have the championships, the U.S. championships, and then the world championships will be upcoming. Michael Johnson did have the Grand Slam going on. It's debatable how successful that was. For you all who don't know, the athletes were making about $100,000. They were trying to make sure they made about that much per race, and they were racing in different races besides their favorite race. For instance, Sydney McLaughlin ran the 100 meters. She got 5th place. She ran the 110 hurdles, got 2nd place. So she didn't run her primary race, which was the 400-meter hurdles. And you had a lot of situations like that, but it's debatable how successful it was. Track and field over in Europe and other places is a lot more profitable and successful. In America, we have the Penn relays, the Texas relays, the Drake relays. They do well, but still not totally across the board, somewhat like soccer. So I'm looking forward to it improving. I'd love it to be a, you know, city by city kind of thing, but we'll see about that. Michael Johnson is trying to make that happen, but we'll see what happens. Jeff, is there anything else going on in the world of sport?
Paul, I've heard that another possible deal, if the Rockets can't pull off the Durant deal, is that the Rockets are also looking at the guy from Brooklyn, Cameron Johnson, and if they can't pull off that deal, I'm hearing another deal is Houston sending Dylan Brooks along with the 10th pick in this draft for DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, who has 22 points a game this season. Say what?
Are they giving up on Jalen Green?
No, in this trade right here, Jalen Green is not a part of it. This is Dylan Brooks along with the 10th pick in this draft for DeMar DeRozan.
Okay.
Would you do that trade? Would you do that trade if you're Houston?
I wouldn't do that trade. Not now. For DeMar DeRozan, how old is he?
He's 35. He averaged 22 points a game this season.
No, I still wouldn't do it. Because remember, we had the 2nd seed. We did very well this year. We had the 2nd seed. So unless I'm getting a real player that I really want, I'm not going to break up the team. Now, I'm not on the internal know all what's going on. They could have been fighting in the locker room. I would have to understand that before, you know, I'm tempted to make a move. But not just based on what they have. So I wouldn't do that. Now, Giannis is a different thing. At 6'11", and with his background, no, I would make that move. But for none of those other ones, I would. Phil, you got a final comment?
Yeah, I got to ask Jaylon one other question. Jaylon, you did track too, didn't you? That is one of your background sports. I know you got quite a few.
I mean, I didn't really run track. I just practiced, but I was going to track practice.
Your dad gave me the impression that was something you enjoyed and you were pretty good at too. So
it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was just track is different. I don't think I'm not a track guy.
Got it. Okay, that was your little brother.
Nah.
Was that your brother?
No, that was more. It was definitely me, but
Oh, okay. He told me one of y'all were being in track. But anyway,
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss you or nothing. Want to cover all your abilities so while we're on here, we can say we remember you when you get there. We didn't forget you.
yes, sir.
Hey,
Thanks
All
for
right,
coming
guys,
on.
we're at the end.
Carl. Hey, Carl, you had one other topic. You mentioned Jake Paul versus Clarissa Shields. Let's talk about that just briefly.
No, man.
That's kind of a
I wanna hear
fantasy, and I don't think she'll ever. I hope she doesn't fight him.
You fight Carl first.
Yes, she need to fight me first. Yeah,
That should be
because people have underestimated Jake Hicks. I mean, what's his name? Jake Paul. Yeah, they underestimated him.
Yeah, Jake Paul.
And he's knocked them out.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't mess with him. Not unless they are ready.
How do you think that fight will go, though? Jake Paul versus Clarissa Shields.
No, I don't want to see that.
How do you think that would go?
The man versus a woman, Jeff.
You don't want to see that either. Okay. Because I think she'll win. I think she'll beat because I think he'll
not if he really fights.
He's
knocking out real fighters, Jeff.
He's been beating bums.
I don't think so. I wouldn't want to see it.
You know how many women I've seen? You know how many women I've seen beat up guys?
Yeah, but this boxing, Jeff, is a whole nother animal.
Okay, I'm just saying. Okay.
They get beat up when they don't hit back. What did Bruce Lee tell that man in Enter the Dragon? Boards don't hit back.
Right, most definitely.
Hey,
anybody else got a final statement?
Hey, Carl,
a final word.
Do you think
we appreciate you joining us. Go ahead.
Do you think that Angel Reese got Female Athlete of the Year by was that BET? BET voted her Female Athlete of the Year. In your opinion, do you think that she should have won Female Athlete of the Year? Well, you got Coco out there, you got Clarissa Shields out there, and you have all these other girls. Do you think that she should have won Female Athlete of the Year? Also, you have Asia Wilson out there. You know, she's the best player in my opinion. So my question is, do you think she should have won Female Athlete of the Year? Angel Reese.
It's more about, her notoriety, publicity, than it is about her accomplishments. She did okay, but probably Coco should have won over her.
I agree. Coco made over $30 million last year, over $30 million. The number one female athlete in the world.
And since we're talking about female basketball, Caitlin Clark is the biggest player out there. Is her notoriety, is that earned? Is that warranted? I think it is, all that she deals with. What's your opinion, Jeff?
She's not the biggest player out there. She's not even the top 5 of the best players in the WNBA. I'm just going to finish. She's not in the top 5 of the best players in the WNBA, but I do like her game.
I think all she has to deal with, though, all of, they be attacking her, trying to hurt her, all this kind of stuff, all that she got to deal with, she's earning, and the way she's handling it, she's earning.
No, she's earned my respect.
Yeah, she's getting a lot of respect.
Did I see the game Saturday?
Yeah, she went crazy. She went crazy on
yeah. Anything, it's there you go, right?
I don't think she's number in the top 5 in the WNBA, but she's a great player.
Current time, all time, no, she hasn't played long enough. Let me put it to you this way. You have great,
right?
You have greater, and you have greatest. She's great right now. She'll be greater when she wins the championship. She'll be greatest when she wins a few more and retires. But right now, I'll take her, and you can take anybody else you want, and I'll be glad to play you heads up anytime.
I still like she's doing a great job, but she's brought. But I still like her. I like the way she plays. I like her game.
TV attention and all the attention she's brought. The other players have to say thank you. They have to say thank you, and if they don't, they're not being realistic. That's what I see.
But she is the most popular, and she does play well. It's not like they're giving it to her.
All right, guys, we are at the end of our show. Is there any more comments?
Man, okay.
What's your opinion on that?
Go ahead, Hicks.
So I haven't watched a lot of women's basketball in my day, but I have seen some Caitlin Clark stuff because you can't avoid it now. And I think the way that she can reliably sink a 3 has definitely helped her.
Yeah.
I think the next female basketball player that will kind of get the same thing is the one that can reliably dunk. I think when we get to that stage, whoever that's going to be is going to be also, you know.
Well, when Juju Watkins gets there, that's going to be a new sheriff in town.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, I think that's going to be the next big thing. I think that's
Yeah.
why, because you haven't seen a whole lot of women just sink it through the half court repeatedly, and so doing something that hasn't really been done a lot, doing it, that catches a lot of attention. The woman that starts dunking is going to get the same thing.
But Lisa Leslie kind of set the standard, and Candace Parker, they were able to do it, and so was Brittany Griner, but not too many others. Few others.
But their consistency being able to do it never caught really attention. They may be able to do it one time a game or one time every 5 games.
But those 3 ladies did it probably a little more than anybody else combined.
Okay.
Yeah. These are the greatest ever, Score. Those girls are the greatest ever.
Okay.
But hey, I'm proud of her. She's done an outstanding job. She's bringing a lot to the league, a lot of attention to the league, a lot more revenue to the league, and the more revenue that the league take in, the more money the ladies can make. So I'm happy for all of them, and I would like to see them embrace this situation and understanding that the more that she bring in, the more you guys get to make. So, but it's still hard for them to understand that. It's hard for them to understand that because women are emotional.
Okay. All right. Well, we're at the end of our show, and we thank everybody. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back with the 46th episode of Sportstake. And we thank you. We'll see you then. Any last shout out?
Jaylon?
All right. Well, we'll see you.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.